Hey everybody, it's me, it's Devin, I'm back. This review is about this past week's episodes of The Young and The Restless from 410 to 414, 2017. Let's see, what's happened this week on Bold and the Beautiful? Young and the Restless. Oh yeah, well, the truth about Victor, came out about, him setting up Adam with the fake diary and over the death of Constance, who was Adam was pretending to be, her grandson, I think, because he got rescued by the real Gabriel Bingham. So he was pretending to be Gabriel Bingham. Had his face was changed by Nick's late wife, Sage, to look like him, because Sage didn't have the heart to tell Constance that her grandson died rescuing Adam. So that's how that whole thing, came to be. And that the truth came out that Victor was the one that got Chloe out of that mental institution, I think California somewhere, and he got her out to help him basically set up Adam for Constance's death, even though she had died like natural causes. But Victor wanted to make it appear like that Adam had murdered her, just so he can get the real Gabriel Bingham's inheritance. But anyhow, the truth came out and Nick let him have it. And because Victor helped Chloe escape last week on his private jet, and Chloe fooled Victor into helping her get away, because of he thought that the whole diary thing, came out, and that didn't came out at all. What came out was the fact that Chloe murdered Adam. Although I don't really believe Adam is dead. I think he's still alive. They're just, at some point they're going to cast a new Adam. And, but until then, Adam is dead. It's daytime. Anyhow, Nick at the airport confronted Victor, and Nick told Victor that he was going to tell the whole family, which he did at the ranch, at the Newman Ranch. And they all, especially Nikki, they let him have it. And after the conversation, they all basically walked out on Victor, and it was funny. And this whole week has shown a side to Victor that we don't normally often see. When he found out the truth that he helped the person who murdered his son escape, he broke down and cried. The great Victor Newman. That's something we don't often see. And you're seeing that, this past week we got a chance to see that tender side to Victor that we never get to see. Especially when, basically his family out in public, Nikki told him out in public, the family, they're gonna look like, one happy clan, but behind closed doors, he's ostracized, basically. He's barred from attending any of the family events. He couldn't attend his grandson's Reed's birthday party, Victoria's son, and Victor was crushed. And then Nick basically took Faith, his daughter, who was staying at the ranch, at the Newman Ranch, with Victor and Nikki. He basically, took her home after months of her staying there, because she couldn't deal with Nick and Sharon fighting back and forth with each other, which they were doing months ago. So, it's just like it's one devastating personal blow after another to Victor. And he gives Reed, a car for his birthday present, because Reed had, took his driver's ed test and he passed it. So he got his driver's license. He's 16. So, and Victor couldn't attend the boy's birthday party, and it really hit him. And then Victor was hitting the punching bag in the barn and at the ranch, and Nick and him got into another back and forth, conversation, and he dared Nick to punch him, and Nick punched him in the face, and little Faith saw him, and they had to try to talk Faith down, and it's just basically for Victor, life as he's known it is officially coming to an end. I mean, Nikki has dealt with Victor through so much over the years, and she's forgiven him for so much over the years, put up with him, always turning a blind eye. She says she's not going to do it anymore. I'm just wondering. I'm wondering how long that is really going to last. But that's what Nikki says. So, so basically he's ostracized from everyone, and he's trying to track Chloe down and bring her to justice, and try to avenge Adam. And if the truth ever got out, everyone in the whole family would be compromised and in jeopardy. All their businesses, the family name, reputation. It would be a truly big scandal for the whole Newman clan. So, we'll see what happens with that. I do think that Chloe's going to be gone for a while. How long? I don't know. It's probably better for them if Victor don't track Chloe down and just let her disappear. And by the time they introduce the whole new Adam, then the whole thing will probably come out. But till then, we'll see what happens. How long is Nikki going to continue to... How long are they going to continue to ostracize Victor from, the rest of the family, from his grandchildren? Now, what else happened this week? Oh yeah, Ravi and Ashley are supposed to be going to New York together for a summit, a business summit that, as representatives of a convention that's represented, and they're representing Jabot, and Jack and Ashley get into a disagreement about her and Ravi, and that she shouldn't get romantically involved with Ravi, who's like head of their tech department, and he's become very instrumental at Jabot. So, and Jack as CEO, he's trying to, stave off a potential situation, disaster, if Ashley gets involved with Ravi and they don't work out. But because he's basically, ordering her not to get involved with him, she's going to get involved with him. And she's been wanting to get involved with him. She wants that young buck. But, so, they're going to go to New York. Something's going to happen. They're probably going to have some drinks. And they're probably going to wind up it'll probably be Ashley's hotel room that they'll probably wind up in. And, they're going to make love. As far as now, what else happened this week? Oh yeah, Phyllis and Jack. Phyllis found out that Jack is involved with Gloria, and she got pissed off and upset about it. But my thing is, Phyllis, you have no right to be upset with Jack, because you and Jack aren't married to each other anymore. And 2, you cheated on Jack with his own brother. You cheated on him with Billy. You didn't just cheat on Jack, which is any other dude. If it had been anybody else you cheated on Jack with, Jack might have forgiven you, because he really did love you. Although when you came back out of your coma, you did kind of force yourself. You did force yourself on him when he really wanted to be with Kelly. But that's neither here nor there. If it was anybody else, Jack would probably forgive you and took you back. But you messed with his own family. You screwed around with him with a member of his own family, his own brother. So no, Jack is not going to forgive you. And Jack's probably never going to forgive you. And you were stupid. You were stupid. You should have stayed with Billy, because you already had something going on with Billy. There was obviously a chemistry between you two. And you broke up with Billy to try to get back with Jack and try to fix things with Jack. And Jack told you he wanted no more part of you. So really, you come out looking stupid in that. You should have just stayed with Billy, because Billy wanted you. And now Billy is back with Victoria. Well, he's back with Victoria. She's starting to push him away because of the whole Chloe situation, because she don't want Billy to find out the truth. Because if Billy finds out the truth about the whole Chloe situation and his role in Victor getting her out of that mental ward to try to help him frame that, Billy, he's gonna go to probably Paul with this and have Victor thrown in jail, because he can't stand Victor. So because of that, Victoria's probably going to push Billy away for the umpteenth time. And, and that relationship is probably going to be over before it's even restarted, basically. And maybe Billy might start looking back, and Billy may start to go back to, try to get back with Phyllis, and maybe Phyllis will be more, receptive, because she did have a fantasy about Billy for a second, a flashback about Billy earlier during the week. So I don't think that's done. So I don't think Billy and Phyllis are done. I think they're going to come back to that. Even though Phyllis, it looks like she's starting to get involved with Lauren's son Scott. But I think that the whole situation of Phyllis being his mother's best friend, I don't see that really going anywhere. Even though there was chemistry between the two when they were, making out look like they were about to have sex until Kevin walked in on them. When he came over to see, his mother Gloria. But I don't see it really going anywhere. Or if they do get involved, I don't think it's going to last very long. Because I do think ultimately the writers are going to put Scott together with Sharon. So I do think that's where they're headed with Scott. As well as him, interviewing people and writing Victor's autobiography. Which is going to get really interesting with that. Because the truth about Victor's involvement with Chloe is going to come out. It's just a question of how it's going to come out. Is it going to come out because Billy finds out and reveals it to everyone in Genoa City, or is it that Scott himself is going to be looking into Victor's life, basically talking to everybody, friends, enemies in Genoa City, and he comes across it and he decides to go to Paul and leak it out himself because he want to put it in the book, the autobiography. So it's going to come out. It's just a question of how it's going to come out. But my opinion, it's probably going to be Scott. Scott's probably going to be the reason why is going to be the way that truth comes to light. And but back to Scott and Sharon, I think Scott and Sharon are ultimately going to wind up together, end up getting together. And now, could I see a possibility of a triangle between Scott, Sharon, and Phyllis and Sharon fighting over Scott? It's possible they could go in that direction and have them both competing over, Sharon and Phyllis both competing over Scott. But I don't think they will. I think Scott's going to wind up gravitating towards Sharon because, Phyllis is his mother's best friend, and that would be awkward and weird. So, and plus, I think that Sharon is going. No, not Sharon. Phyllis. I think Phyllis ultimately is going to start looking at Billy's way again, and because Sharon is pushing him away. I mean, it's not Sharon. Because Victoria is pushing him away. That's going to open up the door for Phyllis to get back with Billy. Which I think that's what's going to happen. And Victoria is going to get stuck out in the cold. Because of Victor. So that's going to be another reason why she's going to have more animosity and resentment towards Victor. What else happened? Let's see, what else happened this week? Oh yeah, Mariah, Devon, they decided not to have sex because, Hillary is in both of their heads. His ex-wife Hillary, who's also Mariah's boss at GC Buzz, and then in the middle of the week they were at the GC Buzz talking about the whole Chloe, Adam murder story, and Hillary was upset that Mariah was trying to keep it under wraps and not tell her about the story. And and they got to a little bit of argument about that with the and the photographer who was standing, who she's seeing. Now, as far as the photographer, I forgot his name. Well, anyhow, Hillary is seeing the photographer. Ultimately, I don't think it's going to last between her and the photographer. I do think the ultimate goal of the writers is to eventually put him with Lily, because once the truth comes out about Kane sleeping with Juliet, who Victoria just hired a week or so ago, that they slept together, in Tokyo after he drank too much sake, Lily is going to leave Kane, and she's going to wind up ending up with her photographer friend, and the two of them, him and Hillary are probably, her and Hillary are going to fight over him. And once she does find out about, him and Hillary, she's not going to be happy about it, because she can't stand Hillary. Because Hillary almost practically destroyed the Winters family. Because she was married to Neil, and then she started an affair with Devon, and Devon married her. It's just, the whole thing was a mess. And a lot of fans are happy that Devon is finally rid of her. Because Hillary is no good. But so the ultimate end game is the photographer to end up with Lily. And I do think Kane is going to wind up with Juliet in the long run, by the end of the whole thing too, because Kane was really attracted to her. The minute that Kane saw her, there was an instant attraction, between him and her. And there's those saying, when you get drunk, you lose your inhibitions. And when you lose your inhibitions, you act on, things that you basically act on feelings that you normally wouldn't do if you're sober. So I think, Kane obviously was attracted to Juliet. He finds her attractive, and he wanted to hit it. And he, it's just that simple. Even though Lily is the love of his life. So I think that's ultimately where that story is gonna go. What else happened? Oh yeah, Noah seems to take a liking to Tessa, and Tessa has seemed to take a liking to him. And Nikki convinces Noah to ask Tessa out on a date. Tessa is Reed's guitar teacher, because Reed is a musician. He plays the guitar. So they seem to have a good rapport with each other, Noel and Tessa. So it was we'll see where that goes. And but also Gloria and Kevin. Gloria was there for Kevin after Chloe had basically left him at the altar, and she was being a loving mother towards him and supportive of him, even though she couldn't stand Chloe and thought Chloe was all wrong for him. And she was right. And the truth of the matter is, I don't think Chloe ever really truly loved Kevin. Not really. Kevin, was, her best friend, and, and it just, her and Kevin, it's just, they weren't a good match. The chemistry wasn't really all that great between the two of them anyway. And I don't think she ever really wanted Kevin. Loved Kevin. Not really. Honestly, she probably would have preferred to be with Billy. But Billy don't want Chloe. So, he never did. So, it worked out for the best for Kevin that he found out the truth about Chloe before he married her. So, what else happened this week? Oh yeah, and Reed looks like he's starting to, and Reed is going to be involved in a love triangle of his own with Zoe and Kendall. Yeah, he's going to end up being involved in a love triangle himself between the two of them. And he's dating Zoe, but Kendall really likes him, who happens to be Zoe's best friend. So you got two friends both liking the same boy. That never ends well. And and women are competitive, and women are very competitive with each other, and especially if they're fighting over the same guy. Whoo! And they teenagers too. You're gonna see some plotting and scheming from both Zoe and Kendall to try to win Reed's heart. You got Kendall, who's using her family connections to help Reed with his music and all that, and you got Zoe, who already Victoria don't like the girl, and she comes across as someone who would probably plot and scheme just to keep Reed. Even though Kendall's doing a little bit of that too, but in a different way. But not in such a, negative way. Although they could go in that direction with her too, where she actually ends up being the bad girl in the triangle, and Zoe actually ends up turning out to be the good girl in the triangle. They could end up doing a double turn with that, which is, if you know pro wrestling, what a double turn is like. You have one wrestler who starts out as a babyface, a good guy, and then you have the heel who's a bad guy, start out as a bad guy, and then as time goes on in the storyline, they both flip. They both flip sides. That could be potentially where they're going with this, where Zoe actually ends up becoming the good girl in the situation, and Kendall actually really is the bad girl in the situation. But I think that it's probably going to be the way it's looked so far, where Zoe's actually the negative influence on Reed, and Kendall's actually the good positive influence on him, who Victoria would obviously prefer Reed to go out with. So that should be interesting to see where they go with that triangle. I think that just about does it for this week on Young and the Restless. So I'll see you guys next week. Subscribe to the comment box below, and tell me what you thought about this past week on Young and the Restless. Bye.